What the fuck? Don't eat insects. I don't think that's good advice. Insects are going to be a very sustainable source of protein in the future. Oh god, let me rotate this monitor slightly. And let me switch the category to Fragile Dreams. Farewell Ruins of the Moon, which apparently has 4 viewers right now. Someone else is streaming this game just now. How dare they? Don't they know that's my territory? I should go check that. That's kind of funny. What are the odds of someone else streaming this weird... Yeah, there's someone else streaming this game just now. That's pretty fun. Right. Anyway. Let me put the wrist strap on to be safe. There's a cat meowing through the speaker on the remote already. I cropped this screen to take out the weird like space at the side that the Wii introduces. Yeah, big safety. It's important. I don't want to throw my remote through my monitor. Monitor was expensive. That's not even true. I bought this monitor on sale. It was not expensive. It would have been expensive if I bought it new, but I'm not stupid enough to buy a Razer monitor new. No offense to anyone that did that, but destroy boxes, right? Yeah. Alright, we can't destroy that though. Box here. I don't remember what we're doing. We're in a shopping centre, I think. Looking for the silver-haired girl that we met one time and now are obsessed with because our boy here lived a very sheltered life. Flipping yeah. Oh no, it wasn't. It was like a streamer thing. But it is a Christmas tree though. Merry Christmas, everyone. Oh god, what's the crouch button? Heavily is C, which is useful. It gives me an idea looking for the girl in the mall. Oh no. Oh no, whenever Crash says that he's got an idea. Oh god, speaking of ideas from the stream, did you do whatever the credits thing was you were planning on doing? Or is that something that... We two in the left? Alright. Oh, I think it's just our footsteps continue. Or maybe I've got a slight delay on audio. I thought there was like someone else moving about and it's like, no, this is just the footsteps of the main character whose name I've forgotten.
Look, there are more drawings here. Are those supposed to be crows? They're kind of cute.
They're kind of cute.
They look unnatural to me.
You think so? I think they're cute.
I'm with him.
No, they are scary. What is so amusing? Do you find that funny?
No, it's nothing.
Oh,
Never mind.
actually, you know what I might need to do? It should be fine. I was like, I should restart my recording.
In any case, it is
It'll
clear
probably be
that
fine.
this space was inhabited by someone not too long ago.
The source recording should figure itself out.
These markings are strikingly fresh.
She might not be that far from here.
Yes.
I don't know if she was drawing creepy crows. But I don't know. I don't know her well either. I'm making judgments as well about a girl I've never met. There are dog noises coming out of the Wii remote. Here's the dog. Took the dog out. I thought it was very funny and unfortunate when the other day in Mikey's stream he said that Fragile Dreams was on his list, and then you pointed out that it has jellyfish in it, so he hated it. It is unfortunate.
Am I starting to talk to myself?
Yes.
Hey, is this?
We found a dictionary.
I flip hundreds of pages to no avail. Oh, how do I possibly express this feeling of remorse? Nothing fitting
Yeah,
comes to
poor
mind.
Mikey.
It seems no word in this book could possibly do it justice. No, it's something more than that. These familiar pages only offer empty promises. Words themselves hold no true meaning anymore, much like my unfulfilled dreams.
I quite like these
I
wee
no
memory
longer
things.
have any need for impressive words. This simple one will do. Tomorrow doesn't even exist.
Although I think we've missed some. Let me look in the handbook. So we have the storage key with the key to underground mall. I don't know if we need these anymore. We might be able to just put these away. I don't know if we use the storage key though. The key to the mall we definitely use to get in here. We probably don't need it anymore. I might just put it in storage for now. Let's keep the storage key for now because I'm not sure if we used it. Let's get rid of that. Let's get rid of one of these cat things because I don't think we need two. Because they don't seem like they're destructible. So I don't know why I would need a second one. Right. Do I have a map? Can't remember. Yes. Okay, so we can go... Oh, we did use the storage key, I guess, because that's where we came from. Well, we'll keep it for now. So it kind of looks like we can go any direction except for the way we came, which was... I'm already lost. Not this way, right? I think we came through here. This place is like a big maze. I mean, I say that, but it's not actually. It's pretty linear. Oh, there's an animal of some kind in here. Or a ghost of some kind. Here we go. The jellyfish. The jellyfish will try to attack us. Ah, and it succeeded. Let me get the timing down on that last one. I can just mash it and do a faster thing. Gotta get used to the combat. Weapons are destructible. The abandoned weapons you pick up are old and prone to breaking. Once a weapon breaks, it can't be fixed. A broken weapon is also less effective in battle. Oh no. I don't think we have another weapon here. Okay, well... let's see if we find one here. I'm surprised we didn't break one before now. That's annoying though, because that was our strongest one, and we broke it breaking boxes. It's not like... I forget what this one is the... We got a mystery item. Well, let's go back see what the mystery item is anyway, and get one of our weapons out of storage. That's unfortunate. Back to the bonfire. So it looks like we can go down and up. Because there's escalators down there and there's stairs up back the way we came.
Am I starting to talk to myself?
I could have sworn he
Wow,
had more
very
lines in this
cool.
before. A cracked milk bottle.
If we worked without ambition, spent our days with time on our tails, never thought we were happy, and will now disappear without leaving any memory, then what, just what, was the point of us?
Grim. Right, let's go bend this, because it seems like we can't. Oh, we might need another weapon first. I could have sworn we had another thing, but maybe we didn't. Maybe it was just the stick and the sword. I could have sworn we only just got the sword. But maybe we did, and what we had before was the stick. Right. Let's equip this. Equip that. Bend this, because it's broken. Can't be repaired, apparently. And we still have one. No, we don't actually. We have no more weapons, so let's not break this, I guess. And we're going to be hitting stuff with a broken stick for a while. Right. Let's look at the map again. Not that one. Not that one. Map just not fill in because we went that way, I think. Like this is the way we went last time. Alright, the plus and minus buttons. Zoom in the minimap. Oh yeah, it's just not helping us at all. Our map's useless. Let's go up these stairs. Let's see what's up here. There is a big door that we can't open. And a little door that we can open. Oh no. It's the stupid legs. They do that. I hate these fuckers. They also seem to heal themselves. They healed back. That last one? I think it was the last one. I hate those guys. Why can't I get this item? Oh no! I can't pick up the mystery item. I don't want to use the healing candy drop. I can like rotate stuff. That's a fun way to rotate things, like it rotates around the point. That's fun. I'll tell you what, we'll get rid of the cat toy. Because we have another one. So we'll just bend this one. Although I assume it's also got a usage. These It's kind of annoying that the merchant guide doesn't show up every time you go to the bonfire, just sometimes, seemingly random. Can't do anything with these things, right? We're all good. Oh wait, there was something. It might have just been the door though. Yeah, it was just the door. Right, so we can't open that. It won't even interact with that one. We went through there, where we broke our sword. So this direction is thoroughly searched. That, I'm pretty sure, is the way we came from. Or maybe that one. Well, let's see what these mystery items are.
This is so soothing.
One should be a gem. A butterfly net. Attack plus 60. That seems... Oh, it's fragile. Okay. And that's so strong. We're putting that in storage and, I don't know, using it on a boss or something. If this game has boss fights. Heal plus 300 HP. That's a lot. With their spear length, staff weapons are good for attacking faraway enemies by holding down and then releasing A to thrust forward. The longer you hold down A, the more force you build up to unleash a spin attack. That's cool. So you have to time stuff for those, I guess? You just need to hold and then hit them. And they do more damage. Like, no wonder they break easily, because that seems ideal. Let's put it in storage so we don't accidentally use it. This water heals plus 300 and these candy drops heal plus 60. That's crazy. And let's put a storage key away as well, because I don't think we need it. Right, let's get going. I should really probably have saved, because I'm pretty sure if I remember right, when you die you just have to load a save. Okay, that's locked. That might be because I put the storage key away. Oh no, this is where we came. This is where the dog was. Okay. So that door is just locked then. Strange. Although, is this not where we were before? Oh, I guess not. Very cracked floors. This dangerous floor is even more prone to collapsing. Try to cross it as you usually would, and it can cave in. Only nudge the control stick forward to slink your way across, ninja style. I like these tutorials. They're cute. So we want to walk slowly. And it looks like there's some broken stuff up ahead. But at least we know this is a new direction, because we definitely have not walked across this floor yet. But I'm guessing that's why that escalator's there. Is just to get back up from whatever's down there. Which I will assume is probably enemies. Speaking of enemies. And jellyfish are showing up. I know you guys can't hear it, but the jellyfish make like a weird kind of static noise out of the remote. Like I'm not just magically able to tell enemies are about to show up. Oh god. Get away from me. God damn it. Oh, that does so much damage. There we go. I got a healing candy drop, which is good because I actually might use one. that all of them? My weapon broke. No! We don't have any more. Video game. Why? If I'd known that these weapons were actually destructible, I would have just bought a ton from the merchant. Because they were cheap. Well, I don't know if they were cheap, but they were, you know, cheap enough. Right, this is a cracked floor as well. Oh, this is just a regular cracked floor. The previous one was a very cracked floor. So we can just crouch across this one, apparently. Whereas the previous one, just crouching wasn't enough. So I guess maybe we were meant to go around the other way and then end back there. But what I need is a weapon. Hopefully the creepy chicken merchant dude shows up. This floor looks cracked too. Again, sorry for the coughing. Evening, Sai, how's it going? I've kind of fucked up here, where I didn't realize this game had destructible weapons, and now I have no weapons. Okay, we've done a whole loop there. Did we miss something? Yeah, let's go down, I guess, but I figured that going down was just so you could get back up. Oh, there's a dog down here. Oh, no. No. Alright. I got a stick. Thank God. We could do full damage again. Equip the stick. I'm okay, day's nearly over, isn't it? Yeah, true. True. Oh, check my DMs, that's always a good sign. That always means that Crash has done something magical. Oh shit, hold on a second, I need to... I've done something silly. I have the game showing up on the monitor that I need, that Discord is on. So I need to move a window that I can't see. Which is always fun, right? That's pretty good. Let's save this. I'll show it to the whole class. Mostly folks DMs. You know, he does. I'm just going to name this image source Crash, and it'll be here permanently as the things that you send me. Look at this fantastic work. That's some good shit, Crash. That's good shit. I'm gonna stick this here, and then I'm going to make sure the chat shows up on top of it. Which will take a second. Right, let's see. Under the chat. Perfect. For people that weren't here for the Tokyo Jungle stream, Crash made some fantastic work there as well. Such as this. And this. And of course, who could forget Hooch? Fantastic work from Crash all around. So is this game good so far? It's one of the wee oddities I see come up a lot, but next to nothing about it. Yeah, I'm enjoying it so far. It seems like it's quite a simple. I hesitate to even call it like survival horror, although it does have. No, I know it's got destructible weapons. It's slightly more of that, and it has inventory management as a result. But it's got a nice little kind of melancholy vibe to it, rather than like full-on horror, which I quite like. Like it's definitely got that kind of, you know, I don't know, Crash just compared to a lot of anime before. I'm trying to think what anime I would compare it to. I think the closest I would think of is like Ergo Proxy, but without all of the huge amounts of I read a philosophy textbook one time stuff that's in Ergo Proxy. Which I say that as someone who loves Ergo Proxy. Tokyo Jungle 2 when, that's what I want to know. That's what I want to know as well. You know, at this point I would settle for them porting it to the PS5 because just let me play it. Let me play it. Like maybe this wasn't the way we came. There's a dog here? Where's the dog? Good doggy. This is definitely the way we came, right? Right. Bye, dog. We go. Oh, we can't pick this item up because we don't have space. Inventory management. Let's get rid of the stick because it's broken anyway. If we move this up here, we've got a little bit of the Tetris-y style, like Resident Evil inventory stuff, because this item is, as we can see, I keep going to the wrong one, is this shape. So, oh no, don't do that. So we do this. Then we have space for one more item in here. Or 3 small items. I only watched Ergo Proxy relatively recently, a year or 2 ago. I watched that show ages ago. It was like one of the first anime well, not one of the first anime I watched, but one of the first I really got super into. I still think Ergo Proxy is really good, actually. Right, this is definitely the way we came. Oh, the dog respawned from going through the door. I thought you had to like sleep at a bonfire for them to respawn. God damn it. Right. I don't hard drive since it aired and haven't seen it. It's good. I'm sure the fan subs for that time will be magical. Yeah. Yeah. Watch it together in Fizzy's Discord. Nice. Brought the anime stuff back then. Okay, I'm gonna be so inactive in that Discord recently. Didn't know about it because it's completely my shit.
This?
At the time, I like learned about it because, you know, being the emo-y kid I was like, oh my god, this anime has a main character that looks so much like Amy Lee from Evanescence. I need to watch this. And then it's like incredibly up its own ass in terms of like, you know, shoehorning philosophy concepts into its episodes. And I mean this in the most positive way. Like, I genuinely really like that show. But it sounds kind of negative when you explain it that way. But it's what it is. We're gonna take this key out. I don't think this is right. I don't think we need this. But I want to see if it opens that door next to us. But I think we need another key. And I've just missed it. So I think we want to get through this door. Okay, that key's not the one we need. I feel like we must have missed something with the cracked floors. There's no way they put all these cracked floors here and there's nothing, you don't get anything from looking around them. We must have just missed something obvious. Right, this was the very cracked floor, right? Where crouching isn't enough. We need to also move slowly. Oh shit, okay. Oh, so it doesn't take us anywhere, we just can't. We just respawn with health lost. That's fine. So crouching actually does... You can't crouch and also slow walk. You can do one or the other. And crouching is not enough for this. I thought you could do both. Won't get into it because it's one of them fully recommend. I suspect Protomia hasn't seen it. Yeah, I've not seen Ranking of Kings. It has been recommended to me before. I think once by you, but also by other people. Oh, there's a door here. I missed the door because I got distracted by the jellyfish. Alright, there's no noises. Which is usually a good sign there's no enemies. So let's break our stick breaking boxes. Okay, there was nothing in any of the... Oh, I need to smash them all. Because, you know, what if there's something in one of them? Wasting all my degradable weapons to fucking get nothing. Literally no items, nothing. But there was a door. We'll go through the door. It won't budge. We did all this for nothing. Oh, this is the door. We're on the other side of that door. This is all been for nothing. That door though. Now that's a door. I mean, it's a door frame. It's literally not a door. And there's some dog growling. Good doggy. Oh god, there's two of them. Alright. Got a mystery item and another mystery item that I do not have space for because I took this stupid fucking key out for no reason. God damn it. What? Jellyfish are quite distracting, I agree. Mikey would agree too, I think. Good morning, Kashi. How's it going? Welcome in. Right, I'm gonna move. I'm gonna do some... I'm gonna eat one of these candies. We don't need it. I don't want to bend the key, even though I think we're done with it. So I'm just gonna eat one of these candies instead. We'll eat this. We got 50 HP recovered, which will fix the thing from falling down the hole. Candy is tasty, I agree. I love candy. I eat so many sweets. Too many sweets, some might say. Most would say, in fact. I would say. Right, our inventory is full. Little kind of schedule-y thing. There's like fuck all in here. Oh, there's an item here, which is great. Well, that's the key we need. I'm gonna risk destroying... I assume this game would not let us throw away a key we need. Oh yeah, it won't let us throw away a key we need. I don't want to get rid of more stuff. I don't want to come back. I don't want to go and then come back. God damn it. I feel so bad getting rid of a healing item. He's like, so far healing hasn't been an issue, but you know, they could be. This might be the point where the game's like, actually, hope you have a ton of fucking healing items. Right, that door's locked as well. Oh my god. That's the jellyfish. You guys, you know what? Fuck it, we should kill the jellyfish. Although, now that I know the weapons are degradable, I kinda... grinding the way we have been. Not that we've necessarily been grinding, but I've been fighting everything to make sure that we get XP. Because for people who haven't seen this game before, we get XP, we do a level up. This game's kind of an RPG. So we are very close to leveling up though. Maybe I'll kill another jellyfish. Alright, we leveled up. That last jellyfish can survive. Because now we have 25 plus 10. Plus 10 being our weapon, I believe. 25 being what we get from levels. Isn't the music get like louder there? Oh, I was moving too fast, I guess. I didn't think I was, but let's move even slower. Oops. I'll admit, I'm not super keen on this mechanic. Back to the bonfire. Then we'll figure out where this key works. There's a couple of options where the key might work.
It's soothing watching the flames. Wow, very cool.
Wow, very cool. We got an onyx, another onyx. So we got tons of money. So I would really like it if the weird chicken man would show up and sell us things. Crash it when I'm in a good mood and Mr. Scream when you're in trouble. That's how it works. Although really, if it's someone in trouble, you're meant to use like their full name, like with their middle name and everything, so clearly you need something to go Mr. Crash something screen. Crash to first screen. What do you think you're doing? But Crash has been good. He made this artwork that's at the top right of the screen just now. The strap in. It opened. Alright, we're going to the old mall. Oh, it's so dark. Speed art with
This
Crash.
place
He does
appears
do
to be much
speed art.
older than the mall we were just in. And from within, I sense...
A
What
boss
is
fight.
it? Nothing. Or rather, from within, I'm picking up hostile readings.
Yep.
Be very careful.
Well, let's go to the bonfire. I would really like it if the chicken man showed up.
Achoo! I hope I'm not getting sick.
For people that didn't see us before, the reason I keep saying chicken man is that the merchant in this game is like a terrifying chicken mascot thing. Like guy in a chicken suit. It's creepy as fuck. He's you now. Look, I need... That'd be fine if I could buy items. There's like something behind that. Fire extinguisher. The door here, dead end here. These walls are like all warped. It's weird. Well, let's go forward, I guess. To where the enemies are. Nothing is not the same as hostile rays. I do agree. I don't think this robot lady is trying to be very nice, and sometimes I actually need her to tell me there's a boss fight coming, rather than Oh, those are big dogs, and there's two of them. Oh, thank God that dog blocked the other dog. We got a mystery item. We got another mystery item. Good start. Looks like there's more dogs. Oh God, there's 3 this time. Oh, we got the heavy attack. Oh. My weapon broke. That was the only weapon I had. No. My stick. And there's not even anything here. What the fuck? The good thing is that weapon was only giving us plus 10 damage. We still do quite a lot of damage on our own, so we'll be fine. But that's annoying. So the stairs going up, and there's a door here. Oh, and a cutscene.
Please hurry. I am nearing the limit of my functional capacity.
Wait, what?
Functional capacity?
For now. For now, I am all right.
Oh no, we're going to have to like
Now
recharge
hurry.
her regularly or something.
Okay.
That's going to be unfortunate. We can get coffee tea. So it looks like, do we have a map? So there's a map there. It looks like doors here, but there is another bit that goes like over here. Maybe we should go back and see if we can actually pick up that bit that says map. Jellyfish. I see you, jellyfish. Try to sneak up on me. The timing on the mini attack seems so weird. Oh no, I can't do them because my weapon's broke. That's what it is. I can only do the basic attack. That's a bit annoying. Oh my god, these jellyfish take so many hits. When you're not doing like the strong attacks. I mean, they're glowing, not very sneaky. That's true. Well, they made a weird noise there. That is true, but also, if you don't have a flashlight pointed at them, they can't be hurt. And I don't think you can even see them. So that's kind of sneaky. They do appear out of nowhere. Oh god, don't try and attack me. Just die. Please. I beg of you. And if you could drop a stick, that would be great. Oh no, fuck this. Oh, I can't leave. God damn, we're gonna die here. These things take so little damage at the best of times. God damn it. Stop trying to kick my butt. I do think that's funny, that is literally their attack, is they just like run up behind you and kick you in the butt. Because they're meant to be kids. Alright, our inventory is now full. And the annoying thing is I'm going to push forward because now we've come through this, I don't want to fight all these guys again. We leveled up. Well, because we leveled up, we're now doing 29 damage each hit, which is pretty good. That's a healing thing. Is laugh coming out of the Wii remote? It is also coming out of the game, but I assume you're probably getting a kind of echoey sound as the microphone kind of picks it up. I think the filters I've got on to stop like background noise are blocking out a lot of the Wii remote stuff though, because there's a lot of Wii remote audio in this game. The reason why when I'm walking into an empty room and you guys probably can't hear anything and then I'm saying there's a dog in here is because the Wii remote is making dog noises. So yeah, we're doing 28 damage now. Our inventory's full. I would like this water because it heals us 300. I did disable the filters, but I turned them back on again because I think last stream I had a fan running because this room gets hot. I don't want people... Oh wait, bonfire right here. Sorry for listening while driving. No worries, Cassie, drive safely.
Sick.
Yes, this game uses a lot of Wii remote stuff that's really cool. We got fluorite. We got 2 lots of fluorite, so we have tons of money. And we also got old instant lunch, which heals us 120. It's probably stale, though still edible. Nobody blame me for being a little nervous about eating it. Fair. Also, we found a cell phone.
Oops, it's already recording. Okay, I'm on my way out to say goodbye to this world. I might not make it very far, but even if I only make it one step, so long as time permits me, I want to see this world with my own 2 eyes. I want to leave proof here that I existed in the world. So, if there's anybody listening to this, please remember me. Remember that I was alive. Dang, that was pretty gloomy. I should have left it on a more positive note. Ugh, I'm almost out of time.
So yeah, we're finding all these memories of the chicken man's here.
It is you. The pleasure is mine.
He sounds kind of like Master Roshi. I don't know if I said that last time, but now I hear him, he kind of reminds me of Master Roshi. Let's buy this sword. Because it's 2,000 yen. Bye! We have tons of money. Well, let's see what else he's got first. I don't want to waste all of our money on swords and then be like... These are only 1,500, but I guess they're probably really destructible. Oh, an iron pipe though. One poorly placed blow and it will shatter into pieces. Oh, so you really need to like... use it well. We'll get one of those. Let's stock up. She took a big shit somewhere public is proof. I mean, that's how people will remember you, right? Right, let's buy a ton of these. Let's buy like... Oh, well, let's buy 2 of them to start with. We have tons of money. I'm literally just gonna buy another 6 of these. We will not... We hopefully will not go through 6 of these. Also go buy 1 of these. And a couple more of these. Actually, no. How much were the... 500 yen for 50 healing or 800 for 120? That seems like... Seems like we should be getting these. Right, we'll stock up in healing items. We'll use all our money here. We have everything we can sell. No, he doesn't want the keys. I think we can only really sell him the same items that we can buy. Like, I could sell him this. I might buy another couple more of those destructible ones, actually. So we can at least try them out without feeling like I'm wasting stuff. But now I know stuff can break, I'm like, well, we need to just buy it. We just need to stock up on weapons. We'll find better weapons, I'm sure. But...
I I look forward to our next meeting.
So far I've not been convinced that there's other uses of money, so... And let's save. And if we've completely fucked this up, then that's fine. We'll grind somewhere. We'll become so buff we won't need weapons. Then I didn't take any of those weapons out of my inventory, because I'm an idiot.
It's soothing watching the flames.
Because I'm not the brightest, as it turns out. I think we need to equip something else before we can get rid of the stick. Let's equip the pipe. Oh, the instant lunch is 2 spots instead of 1. I don't think we need this anymore. Get rid of this. Put that there. And let's take out a regular weapon as well. Bamboo swords seem to last a while. Now we have tons of stuff in our inventory now, but hopefully it's fine. Is there any way to like know that the merchant's gonna show up? Like this graffiti doesn't show anything. Maybe the fact that graffiti's here at all. Alright, let's go through this door and fight whatever the fuck is going to make us fight. Because it's going to make us fight something, no doubt.
That ladder ahead should return us to the surface.
But it's too bad we never found that girl down here.
I suppose I was not of much assistance to you then.
What?
I'm pretty sure there was an area
Come
we
on,
didn't
don't
look
say
in.
that. Really, you were a huge help. A lifesaver.
Well, if you really mean that, then I am relieved.
Hey, what's the matter?
Warning, battery low.
Huh? Wait, what battery?
Warning, battery low.
Oh no, she's dying.
What's happening? What should I do?
Warning, battery low.
What am I supposed to do? Tell me!
Battery has been depleted.
Oh no. Our only friend.
It seems that our journey together must come to an end here. I am terribly sorry. Please, forgive me.
Oh,
But
I liked her.
why?
This time, please don't speak.
This is a lot of
Let
talking
me
for someone whose
talk.
battery is depleted.
You know, I always loved talking more than anything.
Yeah, it's genuinely quite sad.
Unfortunately, the battery I run on has become completely depleted. This will be our last conversation.
It's quite a sad wee game.
If you had not come along when you did, I would have malfunctioned in that decrepit station, all alone. Our time together may have been short, but I'm glad I got to spend it with you. Oh no, I have only 37 seconds left until complete termination of operation. There is still so much I wish to talk to you about. But you must let me tell you one last thing.
Yeah, I quite
When
like her
all
voice
is said
actress.
and done, I'm glad to have met you. Seeing the dawn together, and those unusual drawings. Oh, and your name. I never asked you what your name is.
Oh, his name's Seto, right?
Thank you.
Thank you for shaking me. That's more appropriate, I think.
Seto. My name is Seto.
Oh, he put her battery in the locket. Or her screw. Are we going to keep her around in case we find a battery? Uh-oh.
I had
That
a
didn't seem
dream
good.
that a familiar voice was calling me. As I walked along, it spoke to me, sometimes worried, sometimes happy. We watched the red sky, full of clouds, caught up in the summer wind. The little time we spent together shone brilliantly,
Poor
like a
Seto.
light in those darkened days of the past. I know that no matter how badly I wish to see you again, that can never be. Those who live must continue to live.
Oh, he buried her.
Those who are dead will only continue to stay dead in the cold, hard earth.
Yeah, it's a sad wee game, eh? I genuinely wasn't expecting that. I thought she would be with us the whole journey. But poor wee PF didn't make it. Now, if we went the other way, we would have had a battery and saved her life. That's not true, I don't think. But yeah, this. Oh my god, what the fuck? You pig. But now what? Is Seto going to make like another friend and then they're going to die? This is going to be the loop of this game, is making friends and then they die?
Well, well, what do we have here? What do you think you're doing in a place like this?
The girl will be a permanent friend. I don't think we're ever going to even meet the girl. I don't know who this guy is, but his
Didn't your
clothes are
mom
great.
teach you any manners? You first.
My name? It's Seto.
Seto, huh? And what kind of a name is that?
Yeah, maybe a yokai? No person could do these
Anyway,
cartwheels.
you can call me Crow. C-R-O-W.
Oh, like the creepy crows we saw drawn on the ground.
Crow?
Don't act like we're friends.
What? But
I said, don't act like you know me. Listen up. I'm the one who's gonna be asking the questions around here. You just answer. Is that clear?
yes,
Where are you from?
And we're stick.
pretty far to the west of...
What are you doing here, huh?
Well, it's
Don't let him
just
talk
that
to you like this.
I
We're
thought
level
I might
10.
be able to find more people if I came.
You mean more humans? As in, you're human?
Yeah.
You traveling alone?
I used to live with this old man. But now... he's dead, so...
So now you're on your own. And you came here to find survivors. Is that it? Typical human.
Alright, now we're gonna have to kill Crow. This fucker's dying.
Well, ain't this a pretty trinket? Looks valuable, too.
There's a PF
that
screw in
belonged
it.
to Grandpa! Give it back to me!
Oh, give me a break. You mean some old dead guy? It'd be better off with me anyway.
It's special to me! Give it back!
Oh. If you want this thing so bad, you'll have to catch me to get it.
He's even drawn to the shinies. Yeah, he is a proper Crow. Alright, let's go murder this motherfucker. Our best friend that we had known for minutes just died. We need to avenge her death. I mean, she kind of died of old age, essentially. But there's lots of cats in this amusement park. But this guy did steal her screw, so I think it's revenge time. It's very lucky that we kept the glowy thing, which is presumably what's making us not get wiped out by whatever is wiping out everyone else. Small bag. We have more inventory space. Thank you, video game. Look at all this beautiful space. Let's save. So that we don't need to watch our friend die again. Oh. Yeah, I wasn't expecting the whole PF stuff. It was genuinely emotional. I think it's a good sign about like the quality of this game that it made us all feel emotional by about like a weird walkie-talkie lady. Like she was an old-fashioned voice box, and that was it. And we all felt sad when she died. Anything I can interact with here? Doesn't look like it. I'm surprised they let us come in here in the first place. Sad boys rise up, that's it. I was not expecting to be streaming emotional games. I thought maybe this game would be a little bit spooky. It is a little bit spooky, I guess, but not really. Yeah, it's definitely more melancholy than like horror. So there's a tunnel back there, there's a tunnel over there, and then there's stairs up here. And there's... Oh, that's a big dog with fire in its mouth. That's bad. I mean, we killed it pretty easily. But, you know, you can go into like all of these rides. Which makes me think at some point we're going to have to like collect something in all of them. Right now it doesn't seem like there is anything. But maybe they just wanted to make it. What the fuck? Okay, I need to turn the filter off so you guys could hear this. Because I assume none of that came through. Let's turn my noise gate off. And hopefully there isn't too much background noise. Let me know if it sounds weird though. Oh, it's not doing it now. Are these birds attacking me? They are. What the fuck? It's only me fighting ghosts up till now, not real birds. Goddamn pigeons. Right. When I point over here, he yells at me that he's not over here. Okay. Oh, this is going to get frustrating if he actually does move. There's a door here.
I can't go yet.
Okay, so that's the exit. So he is hiding in here somewhere. Oh, that'll be why you can go into all the rides. He's gonna be hidden on one of the rides and he's moving about. God damn it. Is there some... Are there any crows flying about? There's no other audio cue right now. There's an item in there. So let's go in that one. Okay, there's birds here. I don't really want to waste this pipe on the birds. Got Mr. M. Sorry, my coughs are going to be even more audible now as well. So there's more birds. They're not crows though. God, these things are annoying. Hey, we leveled up. Come on. Come on. Oh, well. Vanished. It flew out of range, and then when we went to try and hit it, it despawned. It's kind of fucked up thing to do. So it's going to tell us we can't go this way. Oh no, it's not. Oh, there's a dog. Where are you, doggy? So he's not in here. So maybe let's just represent. It's just each section. Uh oh. That was creepy. Oh, that's a lot of dogs. At least they don't seem to be the fire dogs this time. Oh, did we die?
Maybe I am alone.
I didn't realize our health was that low. Whoops. When did we last save? I don't think it was that far back. So thrilled without his walkie-talkie pal. That's it. I think PF tanking hits for us. So it looks like these different sections of the theme park we can go to. Do I have my weapons equipped? Let's equip this one. We can go to look for Crow. So let's just go this way first instead. I don't know if it's random. I assume we have to go to every single one. Oh. Oh no. These fire dogs haven't actually done anything to us yet. But I do keep... I don't know. I'm worried that the moment they shoot a fireball, we're just going to die. Hey, jellyfish. Right, I'm leaving you guys. Because you're easily avoidable. I'd never be over there. Set was such a lame name. Try again, loser. Damn, somewhere Kaiba is so angry, and he doesn't know why.
A key? It's labeled roller coaster.
Ooh. Do you think he's on the roller coaster? Or do you think that's the key that, like, opens the exit door? It's probably that. Let's go check the other areas. Get my way, jellyfish. Okay, sounded like there was two of them, but I guess it's just the one. There's nothing in here. That thing's creepy looking. Oh, the birds. So you're really meant to find this one first, I think. Which, to be fair, we did the first time. I don't want to fight you, you're all so annoying. Oh my god. They do a lot of damage. It is no wonder we died. Come on. Who's next? I got a mystery. Come on, you goddamn pigeons. Right, your turn, motherfucker. You! Come on. I think it's stuck. There you go. Alright. We got healing candy drop. Which is good. There's nothing up here, right? We checked this last time. Can we open this door? No, that's not a real door. It just looks like a door. I wouldn't really want to get on any of these rides anyway, to be fair. And there was a mystery item over there, which I think is one of the memory items. So we should go pick that up. More birds. Just gonna leave these ones. If it lets me. Mr. Item. Right, how are we doing for health? We have... Right, let's eat one of these. But I need it from the other inventory screen. Either from here. Let's eat a candy. I thought those recovered 50. Weird. So I'm guessing we're going to have to check every area to find Crow. Oh right, there's dogs in here. This is where we died. Crow isn't here. We already did this one. There's those ghost kicky people. There's dogs. Need to try not to die to these dogs this time. It was these ones we died against, right? Got an old instant lunch, and there's something else here that I can't pick up because of my inventory. Let's... how big is it? It's 3. Let's eat just the candy again. And then we'll go back to the bonfire. I'm worried that if we go back to the bonfire, if Crow is capable of moving, he will move. Oh, wait. Can I... Oh, yeah, I can. Right, I can just put this down here. Not there. God damn it, go in the right spot. And then rotate this one. Inventory management. Right, now our inventory is full. There's a door over there.
I can't go yet.
Okay, what is it?
I can't
Park
go yet.
personnel only. Goodbye, dogs. Oh, there's so many of these dogs everywhere. Okay, we haven't checked this area yet. But there is a... Oh no, we have checked this area. We didn't get... Oh, he's... I'm by the merry-go-round. Where was the merry-go-round? Was that in the middle?
Better warm up.
I think it was in the middle. Crystal fragment, onyx, a dog collar. Okay,
It was
this
a
is gonna be
gloomy,
sad.
overcast day. Even though it was threatening to rain, you took me on a longer walk than usual. When I looked up at you, you seemed so sad. When we got home, you dropped to your knees and hugged me tight. I wagged my tail, hoping to cheer you up. But the sorrow never left your face. And then, suddenly, tears started falling from your eyes. I licked them for you. They were salty. You stood up and waved your hand. I barked in reply.
Oh no, it's from the dog's
And as you
perspective.
slowly turned and walked away, tears began streaming from my eyes as well. I licked them too. They were salty.
What a melancholy game. Alright, here's another sad one.
That was a lot of fun, Mommy. Now let's go back home to Daddy. Something about the clouds looks so menacing and smoky gray. The black crows have begun to caw. We have to hurry home. Mommy in my right hand and my balloon in my left. What happened? What's going on?
The crow killed this kid.
Where'd my mommy go? Does anybody know? Anybody? My balloon and me. Alone and afraid. The butterflies flew, and I lost myself as I chased them. Alone and afraid. I stuffed them in my pocket.
I haven't thought about this game in ages. Welcome in, Tony.
I stop
Yeah, I've had
where
this
I
on my
am.
like to playlist for
I
years.
stare
Like a
at my
decade
trembling
plus at this point.
hands, with eyes red from crying.
This is the first time I'm actually playing it.
I really am all alone now.
I really like it.
So
It's
let's go
sad though.
home.
Sadder than I thought it would be. I thought it was going to be more horror
Daddy all
slanted,
about
and it's
today.
definitely much more melancholy. And I keep using the word melancholy. It's the only word I can think of.
Even the cawing crows have left.
But yeah, I'm enjoying it. It's definitely a fun wee game. But a sad one. The chicken man's
Fancy meeting
here.
you here. A splendid surprise.
I don't know if we need anything. Unless you have anything new, buddy. How many of these did we have? I forget. Let's buy another couple. Why not? Let's actually use one of these, I think. I kind of feel like Crow's going to be a boss fight. We haven't had a boss fight yet, so I don't even know really if there are
Nice day.
boss fights in this game, but I kind of feel like we're coming up to a boss fight. Crow feels like a guy we're going to have to fucking beat up, because he's an asshole. Is there infinite sadness? There's a lot. Oh, no, wait, I want to go into my... I want to take the strong weapon out, just in case. I want to hit this asshole with the hardest fucking weapon we have, because I dislike Crow. This game, through the most emotional moment it has had so far at us, and then instantly introduced a character that is an asshole, and it's like, okay, I've got 10 of these, I've bought too many. And it's like, okay, you have played on my emotions in a way that makes me hate this man more than I even needed to. Wait, why does that happen? Oh, that's just... Why does it let me put it down here? Can I just store keys, like, out here? That can't be right. Okay, yeah. It wants me to put it in the briefcase. No, because I feel like we're going to need it in a minute. I'll leave it out. We probably don't need both these, but let's go with this. These barfly nets have like a really high damage output, but also they apparently break really quickly. But you know what? I only need to hit this fucker once. I don't know that. I don't know. Did we save? I should really save. If I didn't. There's no checkpoints in this game. You just respawn when you reload a save when you die. So I'm getting a bit paranoid about saving. Because we did already have to redo a bit of this sequence. And I don't want to have to redo this whole sequence again. Right, we go to the merry-go-round, which that's the merry-go-round, right? Here's the thing about me and fairgrounds or amusement parks or whatever. You know, I think he's here. I think he's nearby. My intuition is telling me Crow is nearby. He's somewhere nearby. And I'm gonna fucking murder him.
So, you finally caught up to me. Oh, are you mad? Man, if looks could kill.
That's mine! Give it back! It's important to me!
Whine, whine, whine. You sound so pathetic. If you want it back, come and get it.
So I feel like this is way louder than the music was before. I'm going to turn it down a wee bit. But let me know if it's okay on stream or if it's too loud or too quiet now. I feel like Crow looks kind of like the Shin Megami Tensei guy, not Persona, the... Is it Devil Summoner? The blue guy. Only obviously he's got much more colourful outfit. Catch Crow as he circles the merry-go-round. We catch up and press A to nab him. Crow's fast on his feet, so it might not work to only go after him from one direction. Jack Frost? No, not one of the monsters. The character, they're like... I've never played those games, I've only seen pictures. So he's literally just going to run around the merry-go-round. I mean, I assume the catch is we're going to have to go into the merry-go-round. There's only one exit. There's no sprint button in this game. Oh, that's slow. That's way slower than I would have thought. God damn it. Hold on, let me look this up. It's going to annoy me. What? Let me just Google Devil Summoner guy. First search result is Devil Summoner guy AO3. You know, now that I look at it, it doesn't actually look that similar. He kind of reminds me of... Again, having never played these games. This guy. Like in terms of design. Only obviously, you know, Crow is incredibly colourful and has a weird outfit. But now look at it, they don't actually look that similar. Think we go.
I got you. Now give it back.
You're faster than I thought. But I'm not giving it up
no,
that
don't
easily.
Don't make me do it again. Crow, just accept defeat. Yeah. There was like a bunch of monsters in here though. I don't want to fight the ghost dogs.
You again? You caught up to me already?
Yeah, you really made us work by walking down a set of stairs, Crow. Catch Crow as he evades you in tall grass. He's got lightning fast reflexes, so you might want to try sneaking up on him from behind. Alright, so we need crouch. Basically, crouch. He'll never see us coming. He's looking at us. Crow, stop looking at us. Please, stop looking at me. I'm using stealth. Crow. I don't think I can turn my torch off, which would make the stealth a bit easier. Oh my god, Let's see if we chase him a bit. I feel
Maybe if I crouch down.
we can hide him with the teacups. It took a while to check the M's. Okay, we have new artwork. Let's hide in this teacup while we see what crashes. Oh no! Oh no! Crash! I never really noticed how stacked the people that worked on that are. Here is Crash's latest magnum opus. He's outdone himself. It's pretty fantastic. In fact, I'm going to put it in the... I'm going to replace the strap in with it for now. I don't know if that's even readable on the stream when it's this small, but we're sticking that there. Very good work, Crash. Very good. Alright, he's lost track of us.
Oh man, what gives?
Is there no way to turn my torch off? It seems like a bad move to try and sneak up on a guy while you're pointing the torch at him. Okay, he can see us.
Come on! I'm right here!
I feel like the moment I get out of the cup, he turns around.
I thought I'd get a little more fun out of you.
Okay, please just stay there. God damn it, Crow. He can't see us here. Oh, he legitimately can't see us here.
Come on!
Can I
I'm right here!
unequip my flashlight? No. Can I turn it off? We've never had to. No. I guess it probably doesn't actually matter then. It feels like it matters.
Where'd you go? You sure give up easily.
I hope he just walked back up here again.
Oh man, what gives? We done already?
What the fuck? Alright, let's just stay in here longer, see if he does something else.
Where'd you go? You sure
I'm not
give
liking
up
these.
easily. Oh man, what gives? We done already?
See, this seems like where I should be sneaking up on him.
Come on, I'm right here. Man, you're dumb. You seriously lost me again? What a wimp. Throwing in the towel so soon.
But the moment we do this, he runs. And I also got stuck on something, so I couldn't move. But now he's just gonna run away. God damn it, Crow, I just want to hit you with a fucking stick, I swear to God. I don't care about how fast you are. Let me hit you with a stick. Fight. we're gonna hide in this one.
I thought I'd get a little more fun out of you.
I definitely feel like I'm missing something.
What a wimp! Throwing in the towel so soon.
Was he just hiding? God damn it. I need to hide in this specific cup. Or do I need to hide in that cup and then sneak out this exit, go all the way around?
Come on! I'm right here!
You'll never see me.
Oh man! What gives? We done already?
Oh, for fuck's sake, don't stand at that one. You've never done that before.
Man, you're dumb. You seriously lost me again? Where'd you go? You sure give up easily. Man, you're dumb.
You just
You
gonna keep standing
seriously
there.
lost me again?
But yeah. What the fuck? I'm cheating. What are we doing wrong? Tell me, internet. Why the fuck does Crow keep turning around? Right. Hide by one of the teacups to be out of his sight. Wait till he's standing near the front of the teacup area, then slowly creep to him and nab him again. So maybe crouching isn't enough. It's like the two types of cracked floor, I guess. So we'll hide in a teacup and then we'll just do the slow walk. Because it seems like we're doing it right.
I thought I'd get a little more fun out of you. Come on! I'm right here!
Turns. Slow walk. Nope. What the fuck are we meant to do? Oh. Like this go.
I thought I'd get a little more fun out of you. What a wimp! Throwing in the towel so soon.
Why is he in that one again?
Come on! I'm right here!
This is easily the worst part of this game so
you're
far.
dumb.
The traffic is
Seriously
awful. That's
lost me
unfortunate, Cassie.
again? Come on! I'm right here! Man,
Bro,
you're
I swear
dumb.
to God.
You seriously lost me again?
Oh my God. I don't know what we're doing wrong. Even this guide I looked up just says hide in one of the teacups.
Come
Wait till he's
on.
standing near the front
right
of the teacup
here.
area and then creep up and grab him. I do also hate this guy so much. This is...
Where'd you go?
If this game doesn't
You
let
sure
me
give up easily.
finally commit murder, then
Oh man, what gives? We
in
done
my opinion it was
already?
cheating.
Where'd you go? You sure give up easily.
Oh my God. This is as slow as we can crouch walk, right? Hey buddy, could you just like not? Could you just like not look at me for a bit so I can grab you? Because the mechanic this game seems to want me to do doesn't seem to work. Let's try one of the further away cups, I guess. I don't think this is going to be the same thing. I feel like I'm missing something, but...
What gives? We done already? Come on! I'm right here! What a wimp! Throwing in the towel so soon?
Crouch and walk into one of the teacups, wait here and he'll begin to wander around talking to you, wait for him to stop by one
right
entrance to the
here.
teacup, quickly stand up and run behind him. Okay. This guide... I like this guide more. This guide's like, don't fucking try and crouch up on him, just run.
Man, you're dumb. You seriously lost me again? What a wimp! Throwing in the towel so soon?
Please don't go to that one. Crow, you asshole. Oh my god. He runs away faster if you crouch.
Give it back!
It's
right
the opposite of how they explained it.
Not on your life!
This game has finally had a bad part. It's been so good up until now.
Wait!
And I didn't even get to murder Crow. Which would have been the one way it could have redeemed itself. These dogs better not be fucking here. How could they not? Wait, where'd he go? It was this way, right? I guess probably all the way up that way. We don't have any items or anything, right? We didn't pick up any mystery items. No. Okay, here he is.
I found you. Now give me back my locket.
Kid, don't you know how to take a hint? Never. I said I'm not giving it back, you hear?
Crumpets for breakfast is good. I don't know last time I had crumpets, honestly.
But it's important to me. It holds the memories of everyone I've known.
Memories, huh? How pathetic. Now I really don't want to give it back.
I need to kill this man. I've never needed to kill a person more in my life. Where did he go to? Wait, did he drop it? It seems weird to bring us through here if there's not any items or anything. Right? Murder, murder, murder. I agree. Fuck this guy. Wait, where did he go? Cat. I thought it was side road we could go then. assume he didn't... Oh. I was gonna say, I assume he didn't backtrack to here, but he's, like, right there.
Well, well. I guess you're really serious about this thing. Let's take a look inside then, shall we? What is all this? It's all a bunch of junk. A random screw, a letter, some photos.
It says memories.
You're as human as they come.
Of course I am. Now give me back my locket.
Give it back? In your dreams? If you don't like it, come and get me. Tally-ho!
God damn it. This motherfucker. I'm gonna go rest this bonfire before... Oh, I guess I can't.
Hey, what's the big idea? I didn't expect you to follow me this far.
I've got you cornered. Now give me back my locket, Crow.
I don't think so. If you want to do something about it, follow me down the tracks. But it's wicked high up. So make sure you don't fall.
I can do this. Ready or not, here I come.
Well, let's rest this bonfire first. And save.
Oh, man.
I assume we don't need the roller coaster key anymore either, because this is the roller coaster area. So let's get rid of this. I assume this isn't going to be a boss fight then. This game probably doesn't have boss fights. I feel like if we're getting to this point and Crow isn't a boss fight, who else is going to be a boss fight, right? Like, this is the biggest asshole they've introduced. Like maybe the weird mask thing we fought at the start of the game. Assume we see that again. Because it seems like it'd be weird if we didn't. I guess let's go this way. Skyboxes continue to be very pretty though. This game's like very nice looking. Like not just, I say this every time, not just for a Wii game, just in general. Like nice use of art. This does feel like this game's version of a boss fight. Yeah, I agree. I think this is probably as close to a boss fight as we're getting. Oh, well, let's not do that. Oh. Dead. Deceased. I guess we need to climb down that ladder. Oh, it goes to a walkway. I thought this ladder was just going to take us off again, but no, it takes us down onto another walkway. That makes sense. Also, can I just say the guide that I opened, that I still have open only at the bit that says how to do the teacup thing, refers to Crow as a bugger. Like, the person that wrote this guide, one, clearly British, and two, did not like Crow. It could have been any one of us. I don't think that way is safe. I think you're right. Is a fight against yourself as you try to prevent the intrusive thoughts of the Sonic Dreams collection from coming through. Oh man. Remember the Sonic Dream collection? Oh my god. I don't think there's a way to... I think once that happens, there's no way to, like, come back from it. How much health do I have? Okay, we're still good. Unless these bards decide to actually hit me. Also, fuck them, I've got like my super powerful weapon equipped. I should probably one-shot them. Oh, it's a bonfire. And a name. I can't pick up. Oh, it's a proper Tetris block. Look at that. Do I have space? I can... Can I make space for this? Blah, blah. I don't think I can. Let's play Tetris. Which is kind of silly because there's like a bonfire right there. Oh, fuck off. There's a bonfire right there. I could just put items in storage. But this is more fun. Look at that. I'm the best at inventory Tetris. Inventory Tetris.
I'm getting sleepy.
Alright, tell us a sad
Nice
story game.
surprise.
Oh shit. Used to attack enemies for distances, small and easy to wield but very weak. You can fuck those boards up. Oh, it is legitimately that size though. Equip this kind of weapon, you can't hold your flashlight, and place your cursor, a crosshair will appear to help you launch a well-aimed projectile with A. This kind of weapon is best for attacking airborne enemies. Neat. Alright, we're going to have to put something in storage then, because we literally have no space now. Let's put this in storage. And for now, let's put this pipe in storage. I need to equip. Let's save. Nope, that's not what I did. What time is it? It's getting late. Let's finish up this crow section. Neat. Let's go kill crow. Eat shit. No. Get away. Finally I get my revenge on these fucking pigeons. This seems like a big area. Like a lot bigger than I was expecting. I mean, I guess it is a roller coaster. Roller coasters are big. They kind of wouldn't work otherwise. They also seem to just have infinite ammo for this, but I guess it's probably got durability like the other weapons. Oh my god, this is such a big area. More bards. I do think it's slightly weird that a character called Crow has what appear to be pigeons as friends. Like, if they were meant to be crows, then the developers had never seen crows. Please, let me hit it. The cursor was on it. Are we going back? I think we've looked back. Oh my god, don't fall off. Oh no, no, this is the... We haven't been here. Where the fuck's Crow? There's a bonfire here. Well, the slingshot stuff seems fun. Yeah, where the fuck's Crow? Eat shit. Stop showing off. God damn it.
You fell right into it. How lame is that? If you've learned your lesson, you'll think twice now before going after me. So long, sucker.
Goodbye, Crow. Well, that may be us for tonight.
Oh, I better warm up.
Let's see what's in the next area. If it's something that seems like obviously leading towards more Crow stuff, but I think this might just be another section. Like, I don't think we're gonna instantly get to kill Crow as much as I want to. I thought it was way later. I forgot about time zone change recently. Oh. Our time zones are about to change soon as well.
What's this?
Yeah, I know how this works. We've done this before. Jellyfish. Yep, you'll get more of me in the evening and less of me in the afternoon. That's unfortunate. But I mean, I usually stream in the evening anyway, so that's good for me, Cassie. All those other people that stream, who cares about them? That means I get more Cassie in my channel. This is a time where I fall asleep, crashes stream a lot. That's good. Oh, there's like a bunch of items in here. No!
What's this book? Pirate Isle? Then the young pirate looked down at me and shouted out, "Come on. Didn't your mom teach you any manners? Give me your name first." I tried to answer when the boy cut me off. "Don't act like you know me. Listen up. I'm the one asking the questions around here.
As if you were hinting better combos crash, Cassie wouldn't be able
You
to fall
just
asleep.
answer. The boy said in a bullying manner. That's weird. This sounds an awful lot like Crow. The whistle blew, signaling that it was time to say goodbye. I asked the boy pirate if we'd ever see each other again. At that, he answered, "Yeah, of course we will. Friends always see each other again. And we're friends now." And gave a smile.
Right, I want to pick up this mystery item. So, because it seems like these mystery items might be Crow related. So, let's... I mean, we have full health, right? Okay, it's 3 spots. We can make space for that. Nope. I dislike when that happens. Pick up. Alright, let's go back to the bonfire. Come on. And we'll put some stuff in storage as well. Because if there's more mystery items and if they're Crow related, I would kind of like to know Crow's backstory, as much as I hate the guy. Because he is at least interesting.
This is so soothing.
This is so soothing. Oh no, it's a broom. It's pretty durable, but not all that powerful. It does 100 damage. What are you talking about, game? What the fuck? Not that much damage. It's like the strongest, one of the strongest weapons we've
we
found.
have a special bond, you and I.
Hey, chicken man. Why? What makes you show up? Oh. I mean, let's... Oh, he's only selling the new items. We should probably get a second slingshot. I am now regretting spending all that money. Can I sell some stuff? You better give us a good deal. Because I don't think I need all of these. This is not a good deal. We definitely bought these for more than 660 yen. Same with these. We bought these for like 1200 each. What a disaster I have caused here. If Crash ever gets back to Pokemon, you'll see how quickly that makes me sleep. Damn, Cashy. Damn. Right. So we have enough for one more slingshot? Or another broom? I guess I'll leave it for now. Hopefully we won't need...
Day.
What a creepy character. What the fuck? I feel like I need to know if the people that made this game were like, ah yes, we've made this light comic relief merchant, or if they were like, yeah, we made the most terrifying character known to man. No, actually, let's keep that out. Let's put away the butterfly net. Although we have a lot of them. Let's maybe keep that. Let's get rid of the broom for now. And get rid of this. We'll keep all this stuff. Man, there's so little inventory space. It's not Crash Pokemon, it says my brain is sleeping mode every time. I can't get through the Switch Pearl version because I keep falling asleep. To be fair, I mean, this might be a controversial take, but I think Diamond and Pearl are some of the worst Pokemon games. fuckers are back. Get out of my way. I killed you already. Goodbye. Right, we got all the items in here. Let's get going. I kind of want to try out the barfly net. I know it's fragile, but people that like Diamond and Pearl really like Diamond and Pearl. I hear dogs. Oh yeah, that's like... Oh, they don't like that. Got a mystery item. We got a mystery item. Our inventory's full already. Okay, that was just ramen though. Or old lunch, whatever the fuck it's called. What? Camera, come on. Oh, that one-shots them. So many mystery items in here. This one's just food again though, right? Is this one? No. Are we gonna have to keep going back and forth between the bonfire and here? Oh. That sounded like ghosts. Don't kick me in the butt. I hate these fuckers. We're getting our asses handed this time. Well, I think we walked far enough to despawn them. I don't have a space for any of them. Right, all the items seem to be food except for one, which seems like it was one the enemies dropped, so it's probably just like a gem or something. I think I might be worse with this weapon. Despite it doing tons of damage. Where? I thought I got them all. I guess not. There's still two of them? Oh my god. Eat this old instant lunch. I hate these enemies so much. And these ones don't want to die. I've hit them so many times. What the fuck? Finally. One of them died. Good. Why do these ones seem to have so much health? Okay, thank God, they're all dead. Do I have any more healing items? I do not. And also, I do not have space to pick up this healing item that is right next to me. I was just formatting a report in Excel and was like, why didn't my macro work properly? I was holding spacebar with my phone. Yeah, I've done that before as well. Or like had it on like the command key on, because it's like an Apple computer. And so everything worked like a right click. I guess the controller does that. This isn't where I wanted to go, is it? Oh, it is. Alright, I'm going all the way back to the bonfire. Fuck this up massively. Oh, it's a jellyfish again. This thing should at least one-shot you guys, right? This was a disaster. You and your Apple. I need it. It's a work thing. I make iOS apps. You can't make iOS apps on anything but Mac. It is an unfortunate truth of the world. Found a dirty shoe.
I scaled that hill in these dirty shoes. But if this is what reality holds, I'd rather have never known. I'd be happy climbing this hill, never knowing anything. No real summit. An endless mound of earth. Nothing. Nothing at all. No hill. Nothing ever there. Not even my birth. No value. No reason to live. No reason to even die. This prayer without answer from a God who never even existed.
I guess surprised because I feel like iPhones are way easier to use than Android phones. Or at least they used to be. They're kind of about the same now. But yeah, if it's not something you're familiar with, having to do tech support on a thing you don't use is a pain. I think everything's kind of the same these days, but it used to be the case that Android was just impenetrable. Because it was just crap on top of crap. Yeah, if you're not familiar with them, that's always going to be the case, right? Same going the other way, I guess. I used to use Android phones all the time, and making Android apps made me want to stop using Android as a OS, because I hate making Android apps. I mean, I don't hate it, it's, you know, it's part of my job, but it's definitely, I don't know, I don't think it's as nice an experience as making apps for iOS, personally. Right, let's go grab that other item. Oh, we're gonna have to fight all these things again, aren't we? Right. Wait. Oh, this was the food. We don't care about this one. You get lost, dog. This one's the more one. Oh my god, I still don't have enough space for it. Yeah, we just can't pick it. You know what? Screw this item, we're just not getting it. We'll never see whatever this memory is. I'm gonna try and just run past these annoying kids, because I cannot be bothered fighting them again, because fucking hell. Oh, that's a big dog. think there's one behind me as well. There is. Well, he's gone. I don't dabble in app stuff. If I ever get there, I'll let you know how much I hate it. Yes, fair. You might like it. Android's actually a lot better to develop on these days. It just used to be really, really bad.
Warm up.
Google has spent a lot of time and effort making Android a more enjoyable platform to develop on. But for a long time, it was just abysmal. It was... They kept adding new features without, like, fixing any of the development tools. And so it's just like, okay, we're just, you know, stuck with this shit. And also, you just have to support so many different phones.
You made it here, bro.
Oh my god.
Crow! Where are you? Give me back my locket!
Huh? You're still going on about that?
Well, yeah.
Save your griping for after you beat him.
Oh shit. What the fuck? Well, that's a weird enemy. We did fight one of these at the start of the game, and it kind of just laughed at us. Not laughing now, are you, buddy? So I guess there was a boss fight. Oh, that guy hits hard. But so do we. Alright. Is that it? Do you have a phase 2? Alright, we beat the boss. Now let us push Crow off this fucking
Catch
thing.
me if you can. Up here, come and get me.
Come on! Give it back!
Oops, almost. Man, you're pretty stupid, you know that? You're so dumb. I bet you can't catch a cold.
Bye, Crow.
Ah!
Crow! Crow!
It looks like the answer to your question is yes, Kashi. Although we didn't push him.
Crow!
He's fine.
You're not dead, are you? Answer me! Crow!
He's like a weird ghost man, probably.
Jeez, what a racket you're making.
Told you.
Quit
He's not dead.
blubbering already, will ya? And for your information,
Unfortunately.
I've never cried a day in my entire life.
You're alive. You're alive. Thank goodness.
Yep. You win. I give up, okay?
Yeah, loot the body.
Sorry. Listen, I got to see your special thing. So
I
I'll show you
refuse to be
mine.
friends with this guy.
Take a look.
Crow, is that you?
You can't give your
funny.
sad
To
backstory.
be honest, I really don't have any memories of my entire childhood. That's why I think that if I can somehow get to the place in this photo, I might learn about my past. But it's hard. I've been trying to find it for the longest time. It's near where we are now. I can feel it.
Actually, I'm on a search too, for a silver-haired girl.
Silver-haired?
Yeah. You don't happen to know who she is, do you?
Nope. Wait,
Also-
hold on a second. There's someone. I don't know if she had silver hair or not, but sometimes there's this real bratty girl I keep running into at the hotel. I don't know. I can't be certain. I've never spoken to her. But maybe, just maybe she might be able to help you out.
Great. Okay, then I'll go see if I can find her.
Go for it.
Seto has made it his life
I'm
mission
gonna
to
keep
find
searching
this
for the
girl that
place
he
in the
saw one
photo.
time.
I guess we both have to make up for a lot of wasted
But
time,
like
huh?
his
And
dead
whose fault was that?
Hey, I
like
already told
guardian
you I was sorry.
literally gave him like an
So-
instruction at the start of this game,
Will
which
I-
was, hey, when I die,
Do you think I'll ever see you again?
look to the big
Yeah,
red light up
course we
tower
will.
thing and go over there.
Friends always see each other again.
And I don't think we
We're
made it
friends
there.
now. Oh yeah. Another thing friends always do is give each other presents. And besides,
Yeah, he saw a girl and
we
was
should
like,
probably
actually,
make up for being mean to you and stealing something
typical
of
teenage
yours.
boy, you're not wrong.
Here, take this.
Okay,
A ring
it's
with a
a pretty
silver
cool ring.
skull?
You better keep it safe in your locket. Okay?
Well, thank you.
Well, that was unexpected.
What the? Did you just... Did I? What was that?
What's wrong? We're friends now. And friends give each other kisses. Right?
Crow, that is not
I
accurate.
read that.
But that was my first kiss ever.
Oh. Huh. Well, then I guess that makes me your #1 buddy. Best friends, right?
That's not how this works, Crow.
My best friend?
What a weird game.
We're friends now.
You bet.
Seto, you are being gaslit by this weird, creepy dude.
Well,
Yeah, death to Crow,
I'm
death to
off.
destruction. That was not consensual.
See you around.
yeah.
And then he is gaslighting
then,
him
for
about what a
now.
kiss means afterwards. I mean, look, kiss your friends if you want. But that's also not the assumption that kissing someone on the lips means...
Anytime I'm feeling alone, I think about how there's someone out there feeling the same way as me. At this very moment, there are innumerable people just like
I do
me
like these wee
all
segments.
over the world. Yet the tiniest act of sharing a secret could easily make two of us friends. So simple. So effortless. I've never revealed your secret to anybody.
You could just give him a bit of a friendly jest, a Russian tone if you will. Yeah.
I promise.
Yeah, sure.
I swear. Tonight, under the blue moon, from beneath this dilapidated Ferris wheel.
But yeah, I like these wee cutscenes at the end of sections of the game. Find an entrance to the hotel. I assume that's this door over here that we're pointing at, right? Don't turn red. Well, I think it's just an optical illusion. I should have went back to the bonfire back there. Hopefully there's one up ahead. And not like a ton of enemies. Lunar Hill Funland. And the hotel's up this way. This is quite a pleasant looking area. And there's sunlight. Which I didn't think this game had. Nothing over there. And there's a bonfire. And this is where we're going to wrap it up. We will investigate this hotel on Wednesday.
I hope I'm not getting sick.
What a strange game. Not what I was expecting. It has caught me off guard multiple times tonight. Once in a good way. When our beloved robot friend died and was sadder than I was expecting. Like, genuinely a sad moment in this game. Hold on, let me first of all add my